Forward. At some point in life, most adults would want to consider the possibility of marriage. Not to be taken lightly, there are a lot of corresponding elements that are usually weighted in before the ultimate step of marriage is taken. Get all the info you need here. Chapter 1: Satisfaction Basics. Some people decide to live together first to see as they are able to adapt to each other's quirky ways. However, this is not always accepted by the elders, neither is it condoned or encouraged. For whatever reason an individual decides to take on the journey of marriage, it should be done with caution and preparation to ensure a higher possibility of success. The basics. Trying to contribute equally to the marriage arrangement or relationship is important, as both parties should understand that there is a part for each person within the marriage platform that should be taken seriously and without reservation. The equality factor will greatly help to determine the commitment levels each individual is willing to contribute to the relationship in order to make sure it has a fighting chance of survival. There are many ways to ensure both parties stay participative in the marriage arrangement, and this would include being able to share all things, communicating well, being understanding and sensitive to each other's feelings and needs, and many other positive contributing elements that will benefit the strength of the relationship. Sometimes when things don't go as well as intended, there may be a need to seek outside help to get things back on the positive track. This help may include the assistance of a counselor, a marriage therapist, or any other notable person whose main function is to get the couple back into the mode where some positive progress can be made. Sex is also another important part of a successful marriage, and couples should understand the need to ensure this part of the marriage get the adequate amount of attention it needs. Chapter 2: Set up a sexy date night. For most people today, the idea of setting up a date night can be viewed as quite exciting and interesting. However, sadly most married couples don't understand the importance and significance of this practice as being part of keeping the marriage fresh and exciting. It should be explored as an activity that would further enhance the marriage and create a lasting relation that is both healthy and successful. Date night. The following are some of the interesting ways individuals can go about creating sexy date nights to indulge in for the sake of keeping the excitement in the marriage. Some find it rather exciting and sexy to take time off to indulge in a short getaway. This could come in the rather inexpensive form of the nearest local B&B. This will allow the couple to get away for all the distraction that would usually take both their time and attention, and instead allow them the leeway to focus on just each other. Camping or simply dining under the stars is another inexpensive, yet exciting way to get the sexy romance going again, as has often proved to be the ideal sexy date night indulgence. This activity also allows the couple to refocus on each other and leave all else behind for at least a little while. Another great way to create a sexy date night would be to pick a favorite bottle of wine and some dessert which is noted for its sexy appeal, and then share a quiet night together enjoying these items while exploring each other's mind and body. Wine and dessert, when carefully selected, have often proved to be the ideal ingredients that put people in the mood for a relaxing and enjoyable experience, thus creating the ideal mindset to the sexy date night indulgence. Chapter 3: Wow your partner with romantic gestures. Making the effort to extend a romantic gesture is usually always well greeted by the receiving party, and when this is well accepted, the chances of both parties benefiting from the outcome of the romantic gesture is indeed quite fulfilling. Be romantic. The following are some very simple and comparatively cheap ways of creating circumstance to extend romantic gestures with the intention of wooing the other party and keeping the relationship alive and fresh. Creating a weekly schedule that includes one date night is very important. If doing this on a weekly format is not possible, then both parties should commit to a date night at least twice a month. Once the commitment is made, the date night should be taken seriously and not cancelled frivolously. It would show the level of interest of both parties when the date night are kept according to schedule. Highly underestimated in the romantic gesture of being serious about setting aside quiet time just for the couple to be able to communicate effectively. Creating a relaxing environment where the conversation can be done in a leisurely and non-threatening manner is very much an enjoyable activity to indulge in. Couples who are able to communicate on a variety of topics that don't necessarily revolve around their daily routines are usually able to see each other as new and exciting individuals who are constantly evolving and confident. This will help to keep the freshness element in the relationship as both parties become more aware and interested in extending other romantic gestures towards each other, and the possibility of staleness is firmly kept at bay. Giving each other a full body massage is also another romantic gesture worth indulging in. This is both inexpensive and does not necessarily demand the expertise of a masseur's knowledge. Being able to extend this to each other will allow both individuals to explore and relax and enjoy each other. Chapter 4: Learn to be seductive. Being seductive come easy for some, while for others, there may be a need to have some insight into the various methods that can be used to successfully take on the persona that will give the impression that the individual is indeed quite a seductress. Be sexy. Perhaps the most important element to understand about the art of seduction is being able to create the perception of allowing the other party to think their every whim and fancy is being addressed, and therefore indulged in. Learning how to feel and extend this natural aura or power will help the individual better understand the various ways of creating the ideal seduction methods that will help to keep any relationship exciting and alive. One way of learning how to be a successful seductress would be to constantly study and understand the other party's mental and physical makeup. Using self-discipline, willpower, patience and coquetry is important in the quest to create the ideal seductress mode. Learning the art of the power of persuasion, influence and enticement is important, as this advantage will give the individual a better chance of coming off as a seductress than a needy individual. Taking the trouble to be well-groomed and indulging in the art of personifying the aura of sexiness is also advantageous and will help to promote the individual as a seductress. However, it should be noted that there is a fine line between presenting oneself as a cheap tart and as a refined yet sexy seductress, and in being able to get a good understanding of the difference will allow the individual to exploit the benefits thoroughly. Tools such as an enticing yet light perfume, simple and delicate looking jewelry and clothing that is complementing to the individual's form would be a good starting point. Chapter 5: Be spontaneous. It is rather unfortunate, but most people tend to eventually fall into a comfortable routine that usually leads to some level of staleness in a relationship. Keep it spicy. In most cases, the creeps in gradually and for the most part goes unnoticed until one party becomes distracted with unhealthy outside interest. One way to ensuring the relationship does not become boring or stagnated, both parties should ensure there is some level of spontaneity constantly indulged in. For most people, the main reason for eventually falling into this rut lies in the fact that they have become too comfortable and thus almost too lazy to make an effort to be spontaneous. The following are some ways to explore in the effort to stay or create spontaneity within the relationship. Listening is a very important tool that can help to create a spontaneous moment within the relationship. Often people fail to listen to each other, and thus end up missing important bits of information that can be used to create or arrange exciting events or date scenarios. Jumping at the chance to try new things will also help to keep the spice in the relationship, as both parties will then be privy to constantly see and surprise each other with their mental and physical reactions. This will also give both parties an insight into each other's lives. Other ways of being spontaneous would be to create little surprises for each other. This could take on various different forms, such as preparing a special favorite meal, of trying a new recipe that is thought to be something the other party would be delighted to indulge in, arranging for a night out, but doing an activity that would not normally be indulged in, arranging a surprise getaway for two, and any other activities that would be characterized as exciting yet new. Chapter 6: Learn to experiment. It is often more difficult for the women to experiment than for the man. Men are generally more adventurous and are able to handle surprises well, and in some cases thrive on it. Therefore, in order to keep the marriage hot and sassy, both parties should indulge in the occasional experimentation of a new thing or two. New things. The following are some tips on what areas to concentrate on when indulging in the experimentation phase of the exercise. Be a siren. This is a surefire way of getting the other party to sit up and take notice. Most women then to neglect their general appearance and often give the more common excuses such as no time, too much work, home pressures, children and any other mentally and physically consuming activities. However, when one party takes serious measure to look sexy and alluring, the corresponding response is usually quite orgasmic, as the shock alone of being presented with an individual who has obviously gone to so much trouble to be different present an excitement all of its own. When it comes to the bedroom antics, researching new and exciting ways to have sex could also help to put the sizzle back into the tired condition of the sex life of a couple. There are many books and websites that are designed to genuinely help individuals who seem to have gotten themselves into a rut when it comes to their sex life. Trying new positions, talking sexy and even taking on a totally different persona when in the bedroom will help spice up things. Most therapists would recommend a session of sensual massaging instead of actual full-on sex, and if the eventual outcome leads to a steamy sexual encounter, then it should be enjoyed as such. However, there should be no pressure on either party to actually engage in sex, as the idea is to establish sensual touching and intimacy. Chapter 7: The benefits to your marriage of a great sex life. There are several reasons as to why sex seems to play such a pivotal role within the marriage relationship, and for those who are interested in maintaining the spark, some serious thought should be given to exploring the benefits of great sex and its impact on the marriage arrangement. Some final thoughts. The following are some of the benefits commonly given when a couple is able to enjoy a good sexual relationship within the marriage perimeter. Sexual intercourse helps to burn calories. Though most people may think of sex as a funny way to burn calories, especially when the gym is more often the place where the calorie busters are usually associated with this need, sex is also known to be able to produce similar results and is a more natural way of getting and staying nimble and in shape. Another benefit of a great sex life within the marriage is that it keeps the couple closer and more intimate, thus creating an ideal and warm family unit that is both conducive and comfortable to all who are part of the family unit. Great sex does teach each party to be giving and less selfish, and this extends into other parts of the couple life too, where they are more willing to have the give and take attitude as opposed to always taking or expecting to be on the receiving end. Besides this, it also helps the individual to have a more complete and healthy body and mind condition. Having frequent sex is good for the heart and lowers the stress levels of anyone, thus the need to consider this as an ideal way to relieve stress. Wrapping up. Sex, for better or worse, has always been a focal point in most people's lives, thus being able to enjoy a great sex life within a marriage is often the basis of a good and strong relationship.